Good afternoon, folks. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor of Madison 365, with your daily update for Monday, December 14th. Is that right? 14th, yes. We have that. I don't know if this is a COVID time thing or what, but every morning on the podcast and every day when I come on here, there's like this moment of not knowing what date it is, which is like stressful every day. So, anyway, we are here today to talk about coronavirus and some other stuff in the news. We are. This banner is wrong. I'm just realizing, so I'm just going to turn that off. That's yesterday's banner. We have 2,122 new cases today on only 7,350 tests. That's really low. Even for a Monday, that's low. We did have a similarly low number last Monday, but testing has been down. We talked about this yesterday. Testing, sort of daily average number of tests processed or reported, processed I should say, is down 44% for the past month. It peaked on November 13th at nearly 19,000 tests a day. Now we're in the 10,000 test range per day. So what that means is then that our daily positive case number is lower, which feels good, but it's kind of artificial, right? Because as you just test less, you get fewer positive results. Just like if you test more, you get more positive results. At this point, we want the higher raw number of positive results. To be honest with you, because we know they're there, and we have to confirm them, so that we can isolate those folks. Now, I think it's reasonable to think that there's a lot of people out there who are sick, who have symptoms that are relatively mild, and are just staying home and feeling sick, and deciding for whatever reason not to get tested, not feeling that they need to, but who are more or less isolating themselves. So in that case, it would be nice to know, just for our data purposes, that person has tested positive, but it's not as necessary as long as that person is isolated and not spreading that disease around. Problem, of course, is that person could have been spreading disease around for 2 or 3 days before they knew they were sick. Right? Even as the number of tests have come down, and the number of raw new cases, like the raw number of new cases, comes down, also coming down are the positive test rates. Which is good. That's the really good news here. Actually, it didn't come down much today. It actually stayed pretty steady today. But they've been coming down over the past several weeks, which is great news. Now, it could be good news, and it could be like not so good news. It could be one of two things: that there are genuinely fewer people getting sick. The problem is these sort of day-to-day positive test results are still pretty high. Like today is 29%. Yesterday was 23%. The day before that was almost 30%. Saturday was 35%. Those numbers aren't good, and they're not really coming down on any sort of trend line. The 7-day average of people has been coming down and then kind of went back up and is now kind of steady for the past basically 4 days. It's been right around 28% for the past 4 days. In terms of the number of people who've been tested in the past 7 days, about 28% have come back positive for the past 7 days. Okay. In terms of all tests, though, that's down to 10.6%, which means that there's a lot of people getting tested repeatedly and testing negative repeatedly. So the number of people testing positive is 28%. The percentage of the tests is only 10.6. The way I read that, and this is my speculation, so grain of salt, is that the people who are getting tested the most are those people who are being repeatedly tested, meaning healthcare workers, teachers, workers on campus, students on campus, who are somewhat less likely, who are not currently sick, and are therefore less likely to test positive. Now, that surveillance testing has to happen. But we also need more testing of people out in the community to get a really full picture of what's going on. Because I believe what we're seeing right now is really good numbers among people who are tested regularly, which is a relatively small subset of people. So I would like to see more testing. I was talking with Stephanie today, who does all our data and also co-hosts the podcast with me. And her speculation is that people are just kind of in holiday mode and trying not to, just not thinking about healthcare right now. So we might see a big jump in testing in January, and a corresponding jump in new cases. The other piece of good news today, though, that gives me some hope. I'm going to give you one more piece of good news, one more piece of bad news. Deaths are also down. Now, we still have 12 deaths to report today. And I can tell you real quick where they are. Give me 1 second. These 12 deaths today, which, again, Sundays and Mondays have typically been low in terms of the number of deaths. I would anticipate a much larger number tomorrow. The last 3 Tuesdays have been very high. Last Tuesday was like 81, and the 2 Tuesdays before that were over 100. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But it's 12 today. 2 in Waukesha County, 2 in Dunn County, and 1 each in Winnebago, Washburn, Rock, Oconto, Milwaukee, Menominee, Crawford, and Chippewa. So again, those are pretty well spread out, right? That's not, it's not 100. Obviously, it's not even like 30 the way some Mondays have been. Now, what that does is because we know that certain days they're going to report more deaths than other days. We look at the 7-day average, kind of even that out, right? And our 7-day average is also coming down. It's 47 right now. It was 48 yesterday. I really thought, based on just looking at the number of cases we had a month ago, I was sure this was going to be in the 70s by now. I'm very happy to have been wrong about that. Now, 47 is still a lot. 47 people every day is a lot. It's a lot. Our 14-day average right now is 54, which is also a lot. And that may not fully reflect what's really happening, because these are, it takes a long time to get a death reported. So there may be more than 47 people dying every day right now, and we're just now catching up on the reports from 3-4 weeks ago. That's one of the problems. It's sort of built into the system here. So that's where we are with deaths, and that's basically all. Oh, I mentioned piece of bad news. Another piece of bad news today. Not terrible, but not great. Hospitalizations are also up for the second straight day. We're 46 more hospitalized today than yesterday. We're now at 1,471. Still not a huge number. Our capacities in terms of bed counts still look okay. Less so with regards to staff capacity. Hospitalizations have been going down pretty steadily for the past 2.5-3 weeks. And just the past yesterday and today, they've gone back up a little bit. So we will keep an eye on that. Now, the other thing, piece of good news I'll mention, and if you have any questions about this, go ahead and put them in the comments. Vaccines are being given right now in Madison. I'm not sure anywhere else in Wisconsin. I think this first batch went straight to UW Health here in Madison, which is one of the going to be one of the distribution hubs. But also they're right away today vaccinating their frontline healthcare staff, right, nurses and those kind of folks, which is great. We have we being Wisconsin received 49,275 doses of vaccine, which it's not super clear. I emailed DHS to clarify this, but and I haven't heard back yet. They're busy, obviously. But the thing is that everybody needs 2 doses. So I think the way I read their press releases and the news coverage so far, is that we have 49,725 doses, which means we can inoculate 25,000 people about, which will basically cover the staff of UW Health. And it's going to take a while to do that. Right? It just takes a long time to just people stand in line, get their shots. It's going to take a while. And then they got to wait 3 or 4 weeks and then get another shot and do that whole thing again, which is a big undertaking. And after that's all done, basically the staff of UW Health will be inoculated, and that's it. Nobody else. They are going to use some of these first batch, though, for long-term care residents. So it's not going to be all UW Health staff, I don't think. But the point is, 25,000 people isn't very many. Right? We've had 25,000 new cases every week, almost. Right? So 25,000 people is not very many. Point is, it's good news. We like it. It's happening. Right? Vaccine is happening. Literally right now. But don't let your guard down. Don't feel like this is over now. I'm still going to be here giving you numbers every day. For as long as it takes, It's, those of us, but in a way, the vaccine being here, it makes it all the more important to keep your guard up, right? To stay hunkered down. We're almost there. Don't don't mess around now. Like a few more months, we might actually beat this thing. It might be really before everybody's inoculated. It could be like the end of the year, but it's also possible that we'll get just enough people inoculated by, I don't know, June, that things can start to kind of come back to normal, even if everybody hasn't been immunized yet. If a large enough segment of the population is vaccinated, such that the numbers go down to where they were this past June, then we can start to think about opening stuff up again a little bit more. Or I mean, stuff is open now, but we can start to talk, acting more normal, and getting together in groups and things like that. But it's really close, so let's not mess it up now. Let's stick with this program. Let's stay hunkered down, which I think is what we're doing, which I think is also one of the reasons that the numbers are looking better recently. I don't think it's all a statistical anomaly. I think it is people have really changed their habits. When things got so bad in October, November, I think people really thought it through and changed some habits and went back to where we were in March and April. Joel says Dane County just reversed their position on school. I don't know what that. Schools were reversed from what to what, I guess. Did they just do that now? I hadn't heard that earlier. Because the schools had been open, and local school districts had been allowed to do what they want to do. It wasn't they weren't. They weren't prohibited. I'll have to look at that, Joel. Schools were no longer prohibited from opening by the county. Although they may have, I don't think. I'm pretty sure that was actually reversed, externally by a court or something. They have new guidance. Okay. So what that means, what I would read that to me, I'll look into that a little further. Thank you for bringing that up, Joel. Dolores asked when are they reopening. It's going to be up to every school district. And Dane County is, yes, that's true. Dane County's, initially, Dane County, Public Health Madison-Dane County forced all schools to close. Then that was reversed in court, and private schools were allowed to open, and then public schools and whatever. So, but they still recommended the schools remain closed. Now, they are recommending that they change that recommendation, is what you're saying. I do not see that press release. I will have to look into that one more. But I don't. I would have gotten that press release if it was a press release. I think. Are they saying all? Are they saying all ages, or are they saying just like 3 through 5 or something? Let me see if I can find this for you. Okay, this is them on Twitter. This is not a press release. This is a tweet. So, okay. Updated guidance. I'll have to look into this one more. I don't want to like read this to you right now. Due to a Wisconsin Supreme Court injunction, public health cannot make decisions about opening schools. The new recommendations take into consideration the growing body of national and international research on disease transmission within school settings, which is not the point. That's not the problem. The problem is everyone moving around all the time. I will have to read this a little more closely. I don't want to like. Public and private kindergarten through 12th grade schools must abide by the following: develop a written cleaning policy, develop a written hygiene policy. Recommendation 1: reopen schools using a phased approach, starting with elementary age students. A virtual option for all students and staff considered high risk is strongly encouraged. Recommendation 2: implement risk mitigation strategies in schools. Recommendation 3: track school-based COVID-19 cases and outbreaks and have a plan for contact tracing. How? Okay. Dane County, Public Health Madison Dane County, you can't do your own contact tracing, but you're going to ask the school districts to. Okay? Fair? Develop a plan to move to virtual instruction, if necessary. If widespread testing becomes more available, implement a school-based testing strategy. Okay. I'll have to think about this some more. It seems. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be the smartest course of action, but hold on. Yeah, as Bernicia notes, teachers aren't vaccinated. There's tremendous pressure on school boards, though, to open. I know that. And there have not been significant outbreaks so far related to schools, even those that are open. There have been significant, there have been cases in high schools and stuff like that. Anybody over the age of 10 is like basically an adult when it comes to spreading this thing. So, but again, it's not just the transmission inside the schools is not even the only issue, right? It's just movement of people, and lots of people moving to the same place at the same time is where is the problem. Which is why, like, large scale shopping is a problem. Where like a few people shopping at a time is not a big problem, but large scale going all to the same store at the same time is a problem. And that's the thing about schools. It's not necessarily in the school; it's the movement of large numbers of people to the same place at the same time. That's why like movement data, like these places that like track your cell phone, not track your cell phone, but like use cell phone GPS data to track a movement, can predict outbreaks, because it's movement that is one of the significant factors. I don't know. I don't understand why we can't. I mean, I get it. I get it. It's hard for a lot of people to be virtual. Um, but it's like we gotta hang on for a couple more months, you know. Um, so we will see what happens in your local school district. Again, this is only Dane County that we're talking about. Um, so keep that in mind. That this is not a statewide thing. This is Dane County. Um, but and also it's guidelines, it's recommendations. Like a lot of school districts are already dealing with this stuff. I feel like public health in Dane County is like giving into pressure a little bit. Okay, so I think that's what I have for that's what I have for COVID for today. Um, Private schools are substantially smaller. Private schools also can regulate your behavior outside of school. Private schools can and do make requirements on your family the way a public school can't. Like a private school can say, if you are not masking at home, or if you're not, um, if you're going shopping every day, we're going to kick you out of our school. They can do that. They can be a bit more strict and regulatory than public schools can, right? Um, yeah, yeah. Verona's already made that decision, so we'll see how it goes. Maybe it'll be fine. We'll see. Okay, that's all I have for COVID. We're going to take a short break. Don't go away, because I'm going to talk more about some other news that we have on the site today. I will be right back right after this. Don't scroll away. All right, we're back. We are today is the first day of our Black Power list. You have seen that this morning. This is something we do every year. This is our fifth one. We also do a Latino list every year, and then since 2016, and then this year is our first time we've done Asian and Native American lists, which is great. But we're back with our Black Power list, and it's funny. Our first Black Power list is 28 people. And everybody said, you can't do this every year. You'll run out of people. There's not that many black people in Wisconsin. And it has literally gotten bigger every year. And this year we're at 51. And it could have been more. Like we had over 100 people nominated, and we had to cut them down. But today, if you go to, I'll drop a link in the comments here real quick. But these are folks from a wide variety of sectors. I'll just walk through if you want to click the link. We have Dr. Kimani Alford, who's Dean of Student Access and Success, handles all the financial aid and all the access programs at Madison College. Ashley Thomas in Milwaukee, Executive Director of Hope Street Ministry. Regina Duncan, who's the Community Relations Coordinator at Beloit Health System. And first black woman elected President of the City of Beloit Common Council. Barbara Stewart, the Vice Chancellor of Diversity and Inclusion at UW La Crosse. David Bowen is a state representative from Milwaukee North Side, and a really outspoken advocate for in the Black Lives Matter protest this summer from his position. Alicia and Titus Hayes, who own Pat's Rib Place, which their sauces this year are in Oprah's Favorite Things in O Magazine, like that Oprah. Tyler Whipple is Vice President of Inclusive Excellence in American Family, which is a huge, global company and a huge position. Rosa Thompson is a teacher at Shank Elementary School and is most known as the founder of the Black Girl Magic Conference, which is like a conference for middle school age girls. Darius Daniels, team leader for talent acquisition and global mobility at Schreiber Foods up in Green Bay, April Kagea, who's a special project manager at the Foundation for Black Women's Wellness, and vice president of the Flock, the supporter group of Forward Madison Football Club here in Madison. She's also the co-founder of Mingo Ladies, which is like the women's supporter group, and Featherstone Flamingos, which is a supporter group that celebrates black culture. And finally, Tarek Moody, director of digital strategy at 88.9 Radio in Milwaukee. So those are the first 11 out of the 51. And we're going to do that number of people basically every day this week. And those are people you may have never heard of. But if you're interested in kind of supporting black lives and black excellence, read through it. Just see if there's anybody in your field that you should maybe, friend them on Facebook or something. See if there's anybody who lives in your neighborhood, in your neck of the woods. That is interesting. Andrew, Flock in the house. Hey, Andrew. All right, and then the other stories we had today, the other things to mention are, I've mentioned before, there's going to be a kind of a wild common council race in Madison. There's 5 incumbents not seeking re-election, and there's 1 incumbent who has 3 challengers. And we have profiles this morning of both of them in our. Those have kind of slid off the front page now, but they're on the Madison section. Nikki Conklin is running against Paul Skidmore as an incumbent. He is very much a sort of a pro-police guy and anti-police reform person. One of the more conservative members of the council, and got in a little bit of hot water for allegedly using a pretty reprehensible slur against a woman who was testifying via Zoom. So he has 3 opponents. One of them is Nikki Conklin, who's been lived in that neighborhood on the west side for 10 years, been really active over there. And then the other one is Ayomi Obuse, who is newer to Madison. She's only 20. She's a student and running in District 8, which is the sort of campus district, is often represented by a student. She's lived in Madison since 2016, went to high school at West, and has been really, really involved even just in that short period of time. So she's running for that District 8 seat. We have a profile of her as well this morning. So take a look at those when you have a minute. Tomorrow will be part 2 of the Black Power list. A lot of exciting names, a lot of people you should be aware of. And we'll have some other stuff, other newsy type stuff tomorrow as well. So that's all I have for you today. I appreciate your attention and your time, and hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will see you again tomorrow.
This is 365 Media.